Another question I have about your PERT teams, how do you guys communicate amongst your teams? I'm looking at how we do things at my hospital here, both for P and stroke, and there's new technology that's involved that has helped us do this, help us communicate better. I do it all through an app.
So Ken Rosenfeld is the founder of the PERT consortium and the originator of the PERT concept. He was my attending back then in 2012 when that first PERT program got rolling at Mass General. And he has a quote that I think is always very useful. It's, if you've seen one PERT program, you've seen one PERT program. So there's tremendous variability in how things are organized. That's the case because it takes folks who actually care about the disease process to get involved. And depending on what hospital you're at, the given specialty may vary about who really cares and wants to put the time and effort into dealing with these patients, both in consultation, ongoing management, or interventions. That's going to be highly variable. And that's why you see that it's definitely a multidisciplinary field. When it comes to interventions, it's roughly, I think the last I saw, it's about a 55-45 split between IR and IC nationally. And that's probably just because in the individual hospitals, there's a little bit more impetus on one side or the other to care about the cases and invest their time and effort.
We have vascular surgery doing them at my hospital too.
It's a great point. Yeah. So vascular surgery is in the game too.
3 different places, and it's been a different type of clinicians running the show at every one.
Yeah. So at our place, I have to be honest that how it has stood for a while, but certainly how it stands now is as a consult service. So it wouldn't really look different than a consult service you have where you call a phone number there's a consult attending listed on call, and if we're lucky, we have a fellow attached to us. Not every time, but sometimes we do. They can screen it for us. But either way, it's the same thing as a consult service works, where sometimes you got a trainee on you in your consult service when you're doing other consults. And then that person gets called, and then they oftentimes are going to go ahead and make some recommendations right over the phone, come write a note, et cetera. And if things are more urgent, they're going to go ahead and be the point person to marshal the resources that are necessary to get things moving fast. So that's how we handle it. And that consult service is multidisciplinary in our hospital between some pulmonary docs and some interventional cardiologists.
It's kind of been fun, and it's something we've continued to tweak. We modeled it actually after our shock call. So we have capability to cannulate in the trauma bay of our ER. And so, he sent out the bat signal, everybody calls in for that. On the side of PE, again, a lot of different tweaks. So again, you want to have some triggers to know, again, how you're going to activate sort of your PE activation. So we've built some stuff into the EMR for providers to reference, but we actually also have our radiologists, when they see strain on CT scan, put in what I affectionately call sort of weasel words, that this may be a patient that would benefit from advanced therapies. And we see that RV to LV ratio, that it's bigger with large clot burden. So just kind of having triggers up front to sort of again, clue in your people that you should do this. And then we have a secure messaging platform that we use that essentially sends out that signal. And then we allow 10 minutes to call in. And so that sort of delay is intentional as well. That allows pulm critical care to break free when what they're doing. Our interventionalist, ideally looking at some images to kind of be armed for the conversation. And it's nice as an ER doctor, I keep working. That message goes through our transfer center. So then all of a sudden my phone rings and then I'm presenting the case to you all and we're talking it over. Again, I'm presenting, it's a cooperative decision. Our pulm critical care people drop a note. So we're trying to risk stratify those patients in real time. Some of that from a research standpoint, but also kind of justify what you're doing. And I think it really works pretty well. We had looked at incorporating sort of the AI products, and some of them have a hosting communication platform on top of it. We actually trialed one for a little bit, but we were already so, again, front forward on this that it didn't move the needle too much for us because we were already sort of all kind of clued in. So I wonder, as this gets more complex and the AI part gets better and is able to pull up clinical data to present in front of you, that's the part of the AI that's really intriguing to me, is the information presentation, and that's just going to get better. So, any way we can make it, again, more forward-focused, patient identification, and bringing all the parties together, that's a definite step forward for this process overall.
Okay.